You click on a video because the thumbnail looks clean and the title feels personal. For a moment, it seems like someone is finally going to explain something real. But then the voice begins, the visuals move, the sentences flow, and everything feels strangely weightless. Nothing is obviously wrong. The words make sense. The video gives you exactly what it promised. But still, something inside you starts pulling away. You keep waiting for the part that feels honest. A sentence that sounds like someone actually lived through what they are describing. But it never arrives. So you leave. Not because the content was bad, but because it sounded correct without feeling true. That is the new discomfort of the internet. We are surrounded by content that can imitate meaning, but cannot always carry the feeling of being meant. And once your mind notices that, the internet starts to feel fake in a way that is hard to explain. The older internet was messy. The design was ugly. The audio was rough. People wrote badly, argued strangely, and shared thoughts that were too personal, too specific, or too unfinished. But that mess had fingerprints. You could feel that someone was there. A real person had typed the words, made the mistake, changed their mind, or tried to explain something with whatever tools they had. It was not always professional, but it often felt alive. And that mattered. Because when you watch or read something, your mind is not only asking, is this useful? It is also asking, who is behind this? You are listening for signs of presence. A sentence that feels too specific to be copied. A small imperfection that tells you this did not come from a template. That is what gives content emotional weight. But now, a lot of content has the shape of meaning without the cost behind it. A real opinion costs something. Someone has to think, risk being wrong, and say something in their own way. A real story costs something. Someone had to live through confusion, boredom, embarrassment, pressure, or failure before they could describe it properly. A real insight usually comes from time, from attention, from staying with a thought long enough until it becomes clear. But AI content can create the appearance of insight without paying that cost. It can sound reflective without reflecting. It can sound emotional without feeling anything. It can sound experienced without having lived through a single moment of what it describes. And your mind can sense that gap. The content says the right things, but it does not feel like it discovered them. It feels like it arranged them. That is why some online content feels so tiring now. Not because it is always low quality. Sometimes it is clean, smooth, and well-structured. But it has no center. It feels like a meal with the right shape and smell, but no nutrition. And after consuming enough of that, you keep scrolling, not because there is nothing to watch, but because nothing feels like it lands. The problem is not AI itself. AI can help people organize ideas, edit better, write faster, and create things they could not create alone. The problem begins when AI replaces human attention instead of supporting it. Because attention is what makes content feel real. A creator can use AI and still make something meaningful if the idea comes from real observation. But when content is made only to fill space, follow trends, copy formats, and publish faster, it starts to feel hollow. Not because a machine touched it, but because no real mind stayed with it long enough. That is the difference. AI-assisted content can still feel human. AI-replaced content usually feels empty. But underneath, it is one simple reaction. I cannot feel a person here. This is also why polished content now creates suspicion. For years, clean production meant effort. Good writing meant care. Smooth narration meant professionalism. But now, those signals are easy to imitate. A clean thumbnail can be made quickly. A calm script can be generated quickly. A beautiful image can appear without anyone holding a camera. A long article can appear without anyone deeply knowing the topic. So the internet looks more professional than ever, but often feels less trustworthy. Everything is clearer, faster, smoother, and more optimized. But because so much of it is designed to look meaningful, people become careful with their trust. They start searching for human signals. Because when everything becomes polished, roughness starts to feel honest. A slightly awkward explanation can feel more real than a perfect paragraph. A specific personal detail can carry more trust than a flawless summary. A creator thinking through an idea can feel more alive than a script that never stumbles. This is the deeper shift. AI content makes the internet feel fake because it separates expression from experience. Words can appear without thought. Images can appear without a camera. Voices can appear without a body. Opinions can appear without risk. And when enough of the internet starts working this way, people begin to distrust the signals they once relied on. A beautiful image no longer proves someone saw something. A calm voice no longer proves there is a person behind it. So the internet becomes harder to emotionally enter. You can still use it. You can still learn from it. You can still be entertained by it. But something feels thinner. And maybe that is why people are beginning to crave the opposite. Because the future of trust online will not belong to content that simply sounds human. It will belong to content that feels impossible to mistake for empty. And that is the part AI cannot fake easily. But the feeling that someone real stayed with an idea long enough to make it true.